Once, in a radiant village called Mbale Nso, there lived a young woman named Naya. Naya was known far and wide for her wealth and beauty. She lived in a grand home, wore dazzling wrappers, and had boxes full of glittering coral beads. Before her, father walked the path to the ancestors. He left her a chest filled with riches. Whenever she walked through the market square, people turned their heads and whispered, "Ah." They had never seen such splendor. But Naya was not like the other children. She only spent time with those whose sandals were stitched with gold like hers. She didn't laugh with the ones who came with calabashes and dusty feet. Even when they greeted her with warm eyes, she often turned her face away, silent. Her father, the late Elder Obu, had been different. He shared his yams, his stories, and even his last coin with the village. They adored him for that. And though Naya didn't walk in his footsteps, the people still hoped she might someday. Now Naya had no interest in marriage. Her mother, Mama Kito, often said, "Naya, time is not standing still. Choose a good man while your youth still dances." But Naya would simply wave her hand. "I want someone rare," she said. "He must have more wealth than me, be gentle like rain, and never have wed another." The villagers whispered under mango trees. "Who is like that? Not here in Mbale Nso." Still, Naya waited and dreamed, imagining a man carved from her desires. In the meantime, she enjoyed her wealth, her wide compound, her embroidered wrappers, and her golden anklets that sang with each step. One warm afternoon, Naya met Zuberi. He had traveled from Oduma Hills, a settlement not too far beyond the river bend. Like Naya, he had inherited treasures from his family. Their wealth mirrored each other's. Naya liked that. Zuberi did too. Soon they married under the tall Iroko tree and began a life full of laughter, jollof pots, and soft mats. Their house echoed with joy at first, and all seemed well. But not for long. Naya always wanted to lead. She chose which room to decorate, which food to serve, and where the clay pots should stand. When Zuberi gave ideas, she'd say, "No, my way is better." Because she was older and richer, she believed her word should be final. Then came a day when Zuberi needed to journey for trade. He told her gently, "Wait at home, Naya, until I return." But Naya did not listen. She followed her friends to the waterfalls, then journeyed further, dancing, laughing, and feasting. She didn't leave a message. When Zuberi returned, their home was still and silent. He asked the housekeeper, "Where is Naya?" The woman said, "She went off with the others, no one knows where." He waited. 1 day, 2, 3. Finally, Naya strolled in, humming. "Where have you been?" Zuberi asked, upset. Naya frowned. "Why should I explain myself?" she snapped. "I go where I please." They quarreled. Voices rose like thunder before a storm. Zuberi said, "I am your husband. You must honor this home." But Naya raised her chin. "No man controls me," she said coldly. "I will not be caged." She packed her wrappers, gold combs, and left without another word. She returned to Mbale Nso, to her mansion and her quiet. Now alone, she sat by her window, listening to the wind through the raffia curtains. Villagers whispered, "Did you hear? Naya has left her husband." Even Mama Kito sighed and said, "Marriage is not always sweet, Naya, but running away won't plant peace." Naya would not listen. She said to herself, "I'll find another, one who fits me better." Not long after, she met Tunde, a simple man with a heart big as the savannah. He wasn't wealthy. His hut was small, his shoes worn, but his kindness poured like palm wine. He smiled gently and always listened with both ears. Naya thought, "At least he's tender. That matters too." So they married, and Tunde moved into her fine home. Though he had little, he brought her bowls of pepper soup, swept the courtyard, and even massaged her feet when she was tired. With what few coins he earned, he bought her bright wrappers, saying, "I just want to see your smile, Naya." And for a while she was pleased. She liked that Tunde said yes to her wishes. He didn't argue, didn't try to lead. It was as if she wore the crown, and he followed behind, always with a soft word, always with open arms. She sat like a queen and he served like a loyal helper. She was happy, at least for now. But soon, Naya began to feel an emptiness. Something deep inside her felt off. She looked at Tunde, always smiling, always giving. But the truth was, Tunde brought in no cowries. Day after day, he stayed at home, making sure Naya was pleased. But the compound was large, the silks and gold needed wealth to shine. Naya sighed. Tunde is sweet, yes, but sweetness doesn't fill the calabash. She watched him sweep, stir soups, sing her name softly, but no coins entered the house. In her heart, she whispered, "Is he too soft? Too slow? He rests while I carry the dinner." One evening, as the moon sat high, Naya faced Tunde on the veranda. "You have a soft soul," she said, "but kindness doesn't buy firewood or keep stew in the pot." Tunde's eyes dimmed. He had tried, truly, but he didn't know how to bring more, not without wealth. Later, Mama Kito sat by Naya, her voice quiet like a drumbeat before dawn. "Daughter, you must choose. A man who gives you all his time will have little left for labor. So ask yourself, do you want love that comforts or hands that bring harvest?" Naya sat beneath the mango tree thinking. The wind whispered with the leaves. Finally, she said, "I need more than sweet words." She returned to Tunde, her voice firm but soft. "You are a good man, but you're not the husband I need." Tunde's heart cracked. Still, he packed his bundle and left without bitterness. And just like that, Naya was alone again. She had gold rings, wide walls, and woven mats from the north, but her heart was quiet, too quiet. She missed the songs, the laughter, the gentle hands, yet wanted more than warmth. The villagers whispered again, "Naya has sent another husband away. What now?" Days passed like smoke in the wind. Then, Naya met Omari. Omari was like a tale told at moonrise. He was strong like a baobab, his voice smooth like honey. He was wealthy, oh very wealthy, and had a kind heart too. And he had never been married. Naya's heart danced. Omari is the one, she told herself. So they married, and the drums of Mbale Nso shook with joy. Omari gave her everything, golden bangles, perfumes from the coast, gifts that made even elders blink. They traveled, feasted, and filled their home with laughter. For once, it seemed Naya's dream had come true, but seasons changed, and with them, so did hearts. Omari was still kind, but Naya, she began to forget her own kindness. She didn't say please or thank you. She didn't sweep the floor or stir the ogbono pot. "I'm his queen," she thought. "I don't need to do these things." Omari's people visited often, brothers, cousins, and old parents with soft voices, but Naya greeted them without warmth, her face blank as dry clay. She didn't ask them to sit, didn't bring cola nuts or water. Omari's parents noticed. They spoke in low tones. A wife must honor not only her husband, but the roots that bore him. They spoke to Omari. "She is not fit for our family." Omari's heart broke. He had loved her, fully, but he knew, respect is not a luxury, it is a seed. So, one night, he sat beside her. His voice was calm, but full of thunder. "If you will not honor my family, then we cannot walk this path together." Naya's breath caught. She hadn't seen this coming, but Omari's eyes held no doubt. She packed her fine clothes, tied her wrapper, and returned to Mbale Nso. Alone again. Back in her room, she stared at the mirror. She thought of Omari. He was everything she had wanted. But still she wasn't content. The silence in the house grew thick. Then came the storm. The skies broke open. Rain poured for days, flooding Mbale Nso. Water swallowed farms, traded goods, even the golden floor beneath Naya's feet. The river Asia had risen, washing away the village's wealth. Naya's coins meant nothing now. Her great house, and once full of shine, felt hollow with empty pots. She and Mama Quito had to leave. They found a tiny hut, just big enough for sleep. It had no soft bed, no silk curtains, only clay walls and a smoky hearth. At first, Naya wept. She missed her perfumes, her laughter-filled rooms, and the rustle of velvet skirts. Now she wore plain wraps, cooked over firewood, and walked barefoot. But in that small hut, with the smell of roasted cassava in the air, Naya began to think. She remembered Zuberi and his quiet strength. She remembered Tunde and his warm hands. She remembered Omari and his gentle heart. She thought not just of what they gave, but what she had given and what she had refused to give. I had 3 good husbands, Naya whispered to herself one evening as she stirred a pot of millet porridge. But I was not a good wife. She remembered Zuberi, the strong and steady man. With him I always wanted to be the boss, she said. She remembered Tunde with his soft voice and kind heart. But I didn't value his gentleness. And Omari, who gave her the world. But I didn't respect him, or his family. Naya stared at the firewood crackling. She had spent so long searching for the perfect husband that she never stopped to ask, what does it mean to be a good wife? She looked down at her hands. I wasn't kind, she admitted. I didn't share. I didn't listen. I only thought about what I wanted. In the little mud hut, Naya learned to live with less. She spoke to neighbors, the same ones she had once ignored when her roof was golden and her skirts shimmered. Now they shared smoked fish, stories, and soft laughter. With her, she too began to share. A calabash of stew, a handful of gari, even just a smile. Her heart, once loud with pride, grew quiet, gentle. She learned to say please. She learned to say thank you. She listened more than she spoke. She stopped, needing to be the queen of the house, and started being a true part of her home. One morning, Naya turned to her mother. Mama Quito, she said, it wasn't them. It was me. Her mother looked up from the mortar, eyebrows raised. My husbands, they weren't the problem. I was the one who forgot kindness and respect. Mama Quito smiled. She said nothing, but her hug said everything. Naya had finally learned that being happy had nothing to do with gold and everything to do with goodness. She learned that joy lives in giving, in helping, in seeing others as more than just servants to her dreams. Then one day, as the sun rose like fire above the hills, Naya met someone new. His name was Bako. Bako wasn't rich. His hands were calloused from fishing nets. And yes, he had been married once before. He wasn't tall like Zuberi, or soft like Tunde, or wealthy like Omari. But he laughed. Oh, he laughed, like rain on a dry roof. He had eyes that saw people, not just their clothes. And when he spoke to Naya, he didn't ask what she had, or what she could give. He just asked how she was. They became friends. They shared roasted maize and stories by the fire. They helped each other patch leaky roofs and carried water together from the river. Naya didn't feel the need to impress Bako. She could be herself, simple, honest, open. She didn't need to lead or control. She didn't care about riches anymore. She just cared. One evening, under the moonlight, Bako asked her, "Would you be my wife?" Naya paused. He didn't own lands. He didn't wear fine robes. He had no family name that made villagers bow, but her heart was calm. She knew this time she wasn't looking for perfect. She was looking for real. So she said, yes. They married in a small ceremony. There was no drumline, no feast of 5 goats, just family, neighbors, and love. Their home was tiny, a hut made of red clay with smoke curling from the chimney, but it was full of laughter, and peace, and warm meals shared by hand. Naya didn't ask for more. She didn't chase someone richer. She didn't wish for a better house. She gave thanks for what she had. And Bako? He respected her, always. He listened. He smiled when she entered the room. They worked side by side, not as master and servant, but as equals. Their neighbors watched amazed. "Is this the same Naya who once wore golden beads and never spoke to us?" they asked. "She has changed." And it was true. Naya had changed. She smiled more. She greeted elders with both hands. She brought food to sick women and helped young girls carry water. Naya had become rich, not with silver, but with soul. She had learned the secret. Happiness is not born from having the most. It grows when you love well, live humbly, and walk kindly. Naya and Bako's life wasn't the stuff of big folk tales. No golden palaces, no dancing under lanterns of fireflies. But it was a good life. A life filled with trust, with shared work, with peace. And in that little hut, with bowls of yam pottage and the sound of children playing nearby, Naya finally knew. She didn't need a man who had never married. She didn't need one who owned the moon. She needed someone who saw her and loved her for who she had become. On a quiet evening, she sat outside, watching the stars blink awake. She remembered it all: the house with 10 windows, the laughter, the tears. Zuberi, Tunde, Omari. She had searched for happiness in coin, crown, and control. But in the end, she found it in Bako and in herself. Naya finally understood. The best stories are not always loud. Some grow slowly, like beans in the soil, and when they bloom, they feed not just the belly, but the heart. Yet still, something had been missing. It wasn't until everything crumbled, until she lost her riches and lived a life stripped of glitter, that Naya finally discovered true joy in the arms of Bako. She came to understand that happiness was never about golden wrappers or being the one in control. Real joy, she learned, came from giving, from listening, from loving deeply. Naya learned that no union is ever without its storms. Every partnership has its tests, but what matters most is how you stand beside each other when the rains come. It's not about always agreeing, but learning to understand, to bend a little, to meet in the middle, to be present, not only in laughter, but in struggle. As she sat in her humble hut, hands wrapped around a warm calabash, Naya reflected on her past. She saw clearly now how she had searched for perfect husbands without ever offering the same in return. She had asked for love but given pride. She had asked for respect but held back her own. Now Naya knew. A happy marriage is not about ticking boxes but about planting seeds, seeds of trust, effort, and care, and watering them together. It's not about finding a flawless partner, but about choosing someone to grow roots with, to build with, to rise with. Someone whose heart you carry as gently as your own. And as Naya looked up at the stars above her roof, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: gratitude. She was thankful for the path she had walked, even with its bumps and twists. Thankful for the lessons. Thankful for Bako, for his gentle spirit, for the peace they shared, for the life they were shaping together. And now, the moral of Naya's tale is clear. No marriage shines without shadows. No home is built without effort. Perfection is not something you find. It's something you create with patience, kindness, and shared purpose. A strong bond grows not from demanding, but from giving. Not from control, but from compromise. Not from riches, but from the richness of heart. True joy and love doesn't come from choosing someone who checks every box, but from choosing someone again and again, even when the boxes go missing. Naya's story is a reminder, for all of us, that wealth may build a house, but love, respect, and understanding build a home. And in the end, That is the most priceless thing of all. If you enjoyed this tale, please tap the like button, share it with your loved ones, drop a comment to tell us your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you never miss another magical story like this one. Until next time, walk in kindness, and may your own story be full of light. Goodbye.